Welcome everyone, it's Gray Guy, Rock the Gray Shirt as always. Back with another studio update. Is the 9th of December. And this might be the last studio update for the year. We'll see how it goes. I got some work trips to do and I got some family stuff for the holidays. So not sure if I'll do any more updates. But if I do post any more models, they're on my Instagram, which is linked in the description below. It should be on each video. But we did get some models done. We got some rank and file for our Cities of Sigmar done, and I wanted to go through the models that I painted in the year because I was under the impression I didn't do a lot of models for 2023 because 2022 was a highly productive year. Got a lot of armies done. But I did buy and assemble a lot of armies in 2022 as well. So, and we'll kind of get into that. All right, let's get on over. So Cities of Sigmar. So the box set, the army box set that my wife bought me, it comes with 3 chariots, an HQ with a squire, some sort of a kind of a metal priest, I think he is. I'm not 100% sure. And it comes with 2 units of 10 men of the Steel Helm Guard, or the Free Guilds. Are they called Helm Guard or Steel Guard? Steel Helm, that's what they are. Free Guild Steel Helms. And I went with Lethis for the color option. I basically looked at the new rule book and I was like, well, I was not really sure what custom scheme I wanted to do because I really like the old Empire and Cities of Sigmar. They're very intricate and they're designed specifically for Age of Sigmar. I wasn't sold on the helmets, and so I wasn't really dedicated to the army. I wanted to get it mostly out of FOMO, but kind of because the models look cool. Like that big HQ with the huge wings looks really nice, but I was like not really sure because there's a lot of detail in these models. A lot of interesting lessons learned from putting these together. So we'll go over those, but. I was going through and I asked my wife which one, and she's like, "Oh, the purple one. You got to go with that one." And it turned out to be like probably the spookier one because they have to deal with like Nagash and everything, so that's kind of cool. But most of these are just a base coat and a wash, and that's pretty much it. I think there's one of these out of the rank and file has a little bit of highlighting because I was kind of messing around with it. And these are just the regular infantry. This is 14 models out of it. And then the bugler, the banner bearer, the same person, the priest, and the champion. Those are all getting painted next. Things I learned, because this was a really frustrating 14 models to paint. Things I learned that I would do differently if I was to get another squad or 2 or 4 or whatever for this army is I would, the shields would be detached. I would paint the shield separately. I would even consider painting the head separately. And then I would start with the metallics first because they turn out to be overall, the metallics take up a lot of the model. I would do the metallics first and then the non-metallics last. And then I think that would have sped up the whole process, and it definitely would have made it a lot more of an enjoyable process. Maybe leaving the heads on, but definitely taking the shield off because the shield would have been so much faster if the shield wasn't on there. But aside from that, it did take me a little over a month, between work trips because I've been gone, because I take about 1 to 2 weeks a month on the road. But this is what I've been able to knock out while I've been home. And so I think they look pretty good, but and like they're mostly just a base coat and a wash. So let's kind of go through different ones, so different angles. They look really good, just kind of like in a 20-man blob, 14-man blob like this, but once we get the other ones in, there'll be 20-man. I'm not going to run them as a 20-man blob. I'm just going to run them as 2 separate 10-mans, but not sure what I'll expand on this army, but this is the first time I've ever used decals, decals or decals, however you want to say it. Haven't really used a whole lot of those. This is kind of my first transition to using it. I use Micro Sol for these because the shield's kind of uneven. Here Micro Set is more for, at least reading the bottle, it says more for like flatter surfaces, which this might have been a flat enough surface, but I think they look pretty good. I like the bases. I went with swamp grass or purple flowers. I kind of alternated between the two. And then I had 3 different skin tones. You can't only... These are mostly either dark skin tone or pale skin tone, and there's one model somewhere in here that's got more of a bronzy skin tone. And so I think it's this guy in the middle with the X, but I kind of added some more lighter colors to his face. So let's go on to the next one. So then we're going to review some of the stuff that I painted over the year, and we'll talk on a few more things. So I did this Penal Legion Basilisk because I own 9 Basilisk, and oh, there he goes. There she goes. Yep. So I own 9 of them, and unfortunately you can't take 9 in a game anymore. You can only take 3. So I had 3 of them were Talarn, and then I have 3 that were kind of left over. So I painted 1 Penal Legion. I might paint 1 because either I'm going to make all 3 of those Penal Legion, or I might maybe paint 1, give it to the Catachans or something. I'm not sure. Probably keep them all Penal Legion. Because I don't really have any Catachan bits to change the Basilisk, and I kind of would want to make it more akin to that army. But right now, all the ones I have are really good for Cadians, so probably keep Penal Legion. But this one turned out, and it's pretty simple, mostly just airbrushing different grays, blacks, and then throwing on some orange on there. I think it turned out pretty well. Kind of messy with the wash, but you know, it's an artillery piece. And then we got old Angry Angron. He was heavily damaged in the move, but I was able to glue him back together, and I think he's doing all right. I had to glue his arm, and basically his right arm with a sword and that wing just snapped off. I had bubble wrapped him pretty well, but he just didn't survive. But aside from that, he looks fine now. I just glued him back together, and yep. He'll be ripping and tearing in no time. But this is what he looked like when I first finished him. Then we got Redemptor Dreadnought. This one actually had snapped off of its base. Had snapped off on the foot right here. This had snapped off. And then this, and it snapped off here. So I just re-glued it back together. And it's sitting a little funky, but it's still standing upright. It's my Blood Ravens Redemptor Dreadnought. Someone was like, isn't the whole shoulder supposed to be white? And actually, no. If you look at the Dreadnoughts from Dawn of War, only the little flappy bit right here is this whitish cream color. So that's kind of the reference I went with those. And then we have my wife's Sisters of Battle, so her Care Bears Sacrosancts, or Sacrosancts. These are the 5 ones I did last spring. And this is some of my first attempt in freehand. I don't really change my painting style, or I don't branch out to new techniques all that often, so this is one of the first times I've done freehand. I really like the rainbow. That rainbow's good. I like this other yellow rainbow. The clouds are pretty cute. This heart's pretty nice. The milkshake, not a huge fan of the milkshake, but everything else turned out pretty well. And looking forward to getting some Sisters of Battle done in 2024, and we'll see how far we get. And we got our Blood Ravens Repulsor Executioner. So all the guns. This one, during building, his antennas had been snapped off, so I had to glue them back together. But he turned out pretty well. And he survived the move. Surprisingly, the antennas were not damaged. Mostly, I did detach the turret from the body, so the turret had a lot of foam and everything. So and that survived, didn't really need any re-gluing. So that's good. But got that painted early in the spring, early summer. Did the Astraeus, so the Astraeus was pretty fun. Did a whole video about the Astraeus, so finished that big old chunker model. And so last year, or this year, I did finish with the Astraeus, what do they call these things? The Atlantean Spears, the Atlantean Spears Army, the Blood Angel successors. They were what I consider to be done. Now with the rules update in the 10th edition, unfortunately, these 3 Leviathan models down here no longer viable. They're legends now, so that's kind of frustrating. And we are getting some newer jump intercessors and stuff like that. So we'll just have to see what comes in 2024 to see what kind of models I would want to add that are more Blood Angel specific. Until some more Blood Angel Primaris type models come out, I'm just going to kind of leave this army as it is. I know I could add Terminators and things to it, but I kind of want to wait until we get some more Blood Angel-ish stuff. But as it is right now, I think it looks pretty decent. And then I finished the Marauder. I'd already done the Valkyries a while ago, but the Marauder was one of the things I wanted to knock out. And it was pretty simple. With the airbrush, the Marauder was done in maybe 3 days, maybe 4 days. It was done really quickly. So you can get these big huge models done relatively quickly with an airbrush, and then just only doing some of the details and not spending too much time on everything. A lot of good work on this one. For these ones, I put the wash in these little pipe areas, and I used my finger and ran it backwards to make this little smoky trail effect. You can do it a lot better with panel liner and aircraft washes, but this is what I used with the stuff I had, and I think it turned out pretty well. I'm pretty happy about it. And it actually survived the entire move without breaking at all, so that was rather impressive. Kind of makes me wish I would have only stuck with Catachans or Catachan paint schemes and not had bought so many Imperial Guard, but it just kind of stuck with Catachans. If I had known how the rulebook was going to be for Guard in 10th edition, I probably would have just started with Catachans from the beginning, because with the regiments going away and not having a lot of regiment rules, I think Catachans thematically and painting wise would have been really cool and easy to paint. And then we got some Vanguard veterans for Blood Ravens. Unfortunately, Vanguard veterans like these ones, right after I built and painted these, the index came out for 10th edition, and so you don't have double lightning claws. So as far as it's worked, as far as if I was to use these in a game, they would have heirloom weapon and bolt pistol. So that's how it would go for all of these. They do look nice. They're a little darker than some of my other ones, but I think overall they turned out pretty well. These have been sitting on my shelf for probably since 2021, just a sub-assembly but never painted, and so I was really glad to get these done and knocked out early in the year. Getting through those. I really like how the cream, I'm really happy that I consolidated and switched to Blood Ravens for like my primary regular Space Marines, because the red and the cream go really well together. And then this was a Blood Ravens, what is this, Sicaran Omega, so the Plasma Sicaran, and I went with copper instead of like a plasma glow, because I just kind of wanted a non-firing or non-charging, and I think the copper went really well. Sad that as soon as I finished painting this, the 10th edition rules came out, and it's Legends, so you can only use it in fun games, but I wasn't going to take this to a tournament anyways. But it does look really nice. It's a chonking piece of resin, which made it a lot easier to build. But I didn't magnetize or anything. I just kind of, the sponsons are all, so it's the 2 plasma huge cannonades and then the 3 heavy bolters. So, but really easy to paint. I used some pigments. What do they call those? Some powdered pigments for the tracks. Probably won't do that again, but it worked pretty well for this one. And finished 2 Chaos Decimators. Really, so I'm going to have to take a reevaluation of my World Eaters army at some point. I think I still have 2,000 points with what I have, but the fact that the Decimators went to Legends right after I painted them was a bit of a shame. It's revolving theme for 2023. They just kind of took Forge World and said, we really don't want Forge World to be used in 40k outside of a certain really specific set of models, like some Tau models. I mean, there are a few models that are still good, but this one, I think I could still use these guys in Horus Heresy, so they might hang out with my Alpha Legion for a little bit. But I really did. These were I was painting these and the Lord of Skulls around the same time, so they kind of base coat, a lot of streak and grime. That's basically what it was. It was just base coat plus streak and grime. Let's go. And I think they turned out pretty well. I could have gap filled some of these gaps on the resin, but I kind of liked the chaotic feel of the resin being all messed up. I think I did go back and fill in this after I painted it, but this is pictures from earlier in the year. So Henry, the Khorne Lord of Skulls, he's looking very foreboding. So I was pretty happy with this. I think this might be the last model in the army, or the last model for 2023. So volume wise, not a whole lot compared to previous years. The end of 2022, I laid everything out on the table. Unfortunately, I currently don't have a gaming table. I had to get rid of it when I moved, but 2024 getting a gaming table, or actually the plan is to get 2 gaming tables. I'm going to be building 2 4x6s so I can slide them together and have a 6x8. Have a really big old style Apocalypse board. I still like the 4x6 even if you want to play on a smaller size. I think the 4x6 is great because if you want to play on a smaller board size, you can always just put a smaller mat down and then you have more room on the sides of the table for different things. But I'm going to keep with the 4x6. And I really want to get 2 4x6s because I really want to have an Age of Sigmar and a 40k one. But I also want to be able to have, to push them together, play some huge Apocalypse games because I have enough models for Apocalypse. I have plenty enough models for Apocalypse. But let's see, we got Henry here, looking pretty nice. Very simple. I kind of just wanted to get the model done. And so my World Eater's a lot of silver instead of red. And so we're working with that. And this is pretty fun to build. And I don't think he's... I think this is swappable, and maybe this is swappable. I didn't magnetize these, but I think they're push fit, so I'm not 100% sure. I have to go look at my bits box, but this was the way I was going to run it anyways. But yeah, and didn't do any... I did some blood effects coming out of the tanks, but I kept these just red. So this is just base coats and a lot of streak and grime. Just wanted to get it done on the table, did it nice and quick. And yeah, that is those are the models that I painted for 2023. I did get some other models this year after we got back. So I got the Seas of Sigmar box set. I picked up the Leviathan box set. I showed that in the last video, and a few other things. And so I was looking at my Blood Ravens, and I was looking at not Blood Ravens. I was looking at Black Templar, and I thought I was like, somebody had posted a picture of like a Black Templar army that was themed around like the actual Crusades and how it was like silver, white, and red was their color scheme. So I made a couple concept images of how I want to do Black Templars. Not really super sucked into the Black Templar lore, but I just thought the color scheme was kind of funny. So I ordered a Black Templar Combat Patrol. I think that might be it. I think at least for 2024 and moving forward, I don't have any huge plans to expand the army. I have enough armies right now to where once they're all finished and painted, I think I'll be good for a while, to where I don't have to buy huge armies, but I can just buy a few squads here and there that I kind of think would be cute to add, whether I build a cohesive army or just have a fun squad to paint. I think that's kind of where we're at. But so I looked at some Black Templar stuff. And so we got that, and well, so that Combat Patrol is supposed to arrive tomorrow. And I was essentially what I was looking at. I was like, man, the old school Battle Company box that came out like 2006, 2007 had 6 tactical squads, 2 squads of Devastators, and I believe 2 squads or 2 10-man squads, 2 10-man squads of Devastators, which used to be 4 heavy weapons, 1 commander, and 5 normal troops would make a whole 10-man squad. I don't think you can run a 10-man squad Devastators anymore. But that's how the Battle Company used to be. And there was a Battle Company box. So I was like, man, it would be so cool to have a Battle Company. And then I realized I essentially have a whole Battle Company of Blood Ravens downstairs in the cabinet. I had primed them, and so I have basically a full Battle Company. But one thing I realized when I was looking at it is I didn't have any close support. What count as close support? So battle line are typically like intercessors, tac squads, and then you have, so in the regular Space Marines you have commanders, veterans, battle line, close support, and fire support, I believe it is. And there's a whole bunch of different ways you can go around mixing those up to fill a Battle Company. And so I was like, all right, let's do the basic Battle Company is 6 battle line, 2 fire support, and 2 close support. And so I was like, well, I don't have any close support because the Vanguard veterans are veterans. All the Terminators are veterans. They're not close support. They count as veterans. And so I was like, I know I could use those as close support, but I don't have any close support options. And so I was looking at what counts as close support. The new jump pack intercessors count. Centurions count, Outriders count, bike squads count. So a lot of those kind of like fast moving things like land speeders or the land typhoon ones, those count as close support. Things that can get really close and really fast. So I went with I went with a pack of Assault Centurions. So these will be one of my close support options for the Blood Ravens. And I had to get these direct from GW because no one else had these in stock anywhere. And then the Christmas boxes came out, and we got the Seraphon box for the wife, and we got the she got me, well, she got the Seraphon box for herself, and then she got me the Tyranid box because I have the Leviathan box, and this Tyranid box, the Onslaught Swarm, just goes so well with the Leviathan box, and so I'm good on Tyranids for a year to 2 years plus, because the Leviathans have the Termagants and everything, and a bunch of the cool new characters and stuff. And then here we got the Nord Queen, and we got a I'll probably make them winged because, classic. Then we got a bunch of Hormagaunts because I wanted the Hormagaunts because to me Tyranids are close combat, and there is shooting, yes, but I wanted some close combat. So when this Swarm box, this is a good value. When this box had the Hormagaunts in it and the Gene Stealers and the new Gene Stealers, I was like, this has got to be a no-brainer. So I asked for this for Christmas. So I got this for Christmas. And I know it's a little early for Christmas, but they kind of showed up. And so I bought the Centurions myself. And then I was like, man, I really want those Jump Assault Troops. And so I looked at buying the Jump Assault Troops just from like a store or whatever. And I was looking at it, and I was like, all right, well, if I wanted a 10-man, I should also attach the Jump Captain to it to give them buffs. And so I was like, well, they're $60 each. And so that would have already been 120 plus 40 for the captain, so it would already been 160. And then I could get the Christmas box set still on sale for 193. And so I was like, well, for $33 more, I can get 2 Outriders, 5 more Jump Troops because it's 15 in the box and the captain, and I can get the ATV. And I don't have Outriders and I don't have ATV, so those would get sucked up into my Blood Ravens, or maybe they'd go somewhere else. So that box, the Spearhead, I think, or the Vanguard, I forget what they call it, but the new Christmas Space Marine box is in there with that. So, with that being said, when I was sitting here and I was like, man, I really want to order the Space Marines because I had ordered the Centurions, the Black Templar box set, and the Space Marines, and I was like, man, before I'd order them, I was like, I really want to order those, but because I sold my house and I bought this house. I made a down payment. Well, yeah, I sold my old house and I, bought this new house, and so I made a down payment. Spent a lot of money getting this house fixed, new appliances, fixing water damage, a bunch of other stuff in this house. So I really didn't get to spend a lot of money on like the hobby for me. A lot of the stuff that I had, or like my hobby setup, is stuff that I brought from my old house. So I didn't really get to spend some of my cool, proceeds from selling my house on myself, which is fine. Like, I bought a lot of stuff for me and the wife together, and I bought her stuff, and I got this new gaming computer because my other one crapped out before I was able to move, and I built her a new gaming computer, and so everything's all nice. Like, I wasn't like regretting what I spent, but I just wanted to buy some stuff for me. But the problem is I was taking a long, hard look at what models I had finished, and I was like, man, I really need something to kind of just focus on the models I have. The problem is while I was doing this, I was trying to paint those cities models, and what I did wrong with those cities is, one, I had glued the shield on, and two, I started with the not metallics, and there's so many, so a lot of the metallics are kind of stuck in the shoulders and in the chest, and also I made a mistake. I thought that the back was metal, but now that I look at it, and I looked at some of the test models after I started painting them, the back is not really supposed to be metal. The chest plate's only on the front, so I did that a little wrong. But there was so much metallics that are kind of hidden under things that I should have painted the metallics on all of those models first. I should have base coated them black, not zenithal them white, and then just did the metallics. It would have been a lot easier. But I ended up base coating them black and then heavy zenithal white, so they're very bright. Mostly white, only black a little bit underneath. And so the zenithal was a bit heavy-handed. And I think it was mostly just because I got them as a gift, and I liked them enough to get them, to ask for them, but I wasn't super motivated to paint them because the whole Cities line, to me, is sort of an affront against the old Empire, and so I wasn't as jazzed about the Cities line. But now that I've done those 14 models, the Cities line was really good. So, but anyways, back to the issue is between gifts and between buying my own models, it felt like I was spending a lot of money on Warhammer and not getting a lot of hobby done because like my time is like divided between being on the road and being at home, and just being married now. It's unfair if I don't spend time with my wife. That's ridiculous. Plus I love her and I want to spend time with her. And so like painting time is something that I don't have as much of when I was single. When I was single, I could just paint 4 to 6 hours on a weekday, and on a weekend 12 to 14 hours, no problem. And so like I could get more projects done. And so what I'm trying to do now is I'm trying to allot time for my hobby, so like I don't get stressed out too much, but also plenty of time for work and fitness. And we just started doing CrossFit. She's done CrossFit for a long time, really loved it. Now we moved to a new area, we found a new gym, and we went Monday, Tuesday, and we went Thursday this week. Got a break on Wednesday. We were going to go back on Friday, but something came up, so we skipped Friday, but we're going to go back tomorrow for Run Club, and I need it. I'm not a huge fan of CrossFit. Like I haven't drank the Kool-Aid yet, but I know that I need to increase my fitness level, and it's something that she really loves, and we get to do it together. So that's fine. But I needed to figure out what to do with all of these models. And so what I realized is that buying more and more models all the time and only having so much limited time to paint the models that I already have, I was like, all right, here's what we're going to do. I don't really want to buy models in 2024. But I know that there's going to be a lot of models that come out in 2024, and I'm going to have a lot of inspiration and a lot of ideas, and I'm going to want to buy a bunch of models. So I was like, all right, how do I make this like a challenge where like there's a reward at the end of it for not spending money? Because in 2024, I calculated, or 2023, I spent it says 3,564, but I think I spent more than that. I think I spent close to $4,000 on Warhammer models. And as you see, I didn't really paint that many in 2023. So what the goal is to paint more. And I still have a lot of terrain that I 3D printed plus I have my 3D printing, or my 3D printers. I didn't print a lot of 3D printed models, but I do have a lot of terrain. And so a lot of stuff to paint. And so what I decided is, all right, my wife collects Monster High dolls. I actually, just for Christmas, I got her some really fancy Monster High dolls. And she also collects a bunch of like vintage Care Bears and things like that. And so what I did is I was like, all right, and there is a Monster High doll. I didn't realize this, and so I was like, hey, I'll make you a bet. If I don't buy a single Warhammer or GW model, not including bases or paints, because if I want to get some new square bases if we go to Old World, but no new models in 2024, then at the end of 2024, you buy me a Tau Manta. Now, I have a Tau army that I've only painted a few of the models. It's Farside Army, but it's blue instead of red, and I really like that one. It's one of the few alternate color schemes that I really like. And all the Tau are red. Their skin's red, so I really like that one. But I have a Tau army. It's a little bit over 3,000 points. Last I pointed it out, it's got the 8 in it, and so I have a Tau force. I'm just not huge into Tau from a thematic standpoint. Like they're not my only army. I would say that my favorite army right now is Guard, but I do like the Tau, and I didn't want to get rid of the Tau. I kind of wanted to get rid of my Space Wolves, but we'll figure that out. But so I was like, well, the Tau Manta is huge. It's $1,950 right now. So for like a year from now, it's probably going to be over $2,000. And it's an older sculpt, and there's a lot to be involved into it. And so I was like, all right, you get me a Tau Manta if I don't buy a single model in 2024. And she's like, okay. All right, but if you buy a single model in 2024, then or unit or any GW model, then I have to buy her this really expensive Monster High doll, which is like $450 or something like that. And I'm like, because they're on eBay. Like they did a limited print run. Mattel sold them for $90 or whatever. They did a very limited print run, and so they're like super expensive right now. And I was like, all right, okay, all right. So the goal is, starting January 1st, for me not to buy any Warhammer models. Now I can still be gifted Warhammer models, like friends or whatever, or my wife can still buy me some models if I really want them for like my birthday or something, or if I can still be gifted Warhammer models. I just can't buy my own Warhammer models. And of course, I posted this on Facebook, and everyone was like, mixed opinions, but a lot of people were like, "Oh, it's 3D printer burr." And yes, I could 3D print some stuff, and there is some ideas to print like 3D printed Elysians, some drop troops, or some Elysian versions of those. But I have so many guard already that I would want to paint the guard I have now before I print new guard. And then there's nothing really else because I got the actual Tyranids. The metallic Tyranids don't really appeal to me as much anymore. So the only thing I'm probably going to be 3D printing in 2024 is more terrain because I want to build a massive city board. I still have all of the stuff to build my World War One style trench board. So I still want to build that. That all made it in the move, all the foam and everything. So foam cutting and hobby tools I'm still allowed to buy. But yeah, so we're just going to see, can I survive 2024 without buying new models? And it's looking like the Guard Codex is not going to be until the new Guard Codex, the actual Codex, because right now we're in Index, isn't going to come out for a while. So I'm not sure how that's going to go. Oh boy, sleepy. Yeah, and aside from that, I've been playing Dragon's Dogma because Dragon's Dogma 2 comes out in the late spring, so like it's like March, May timeframe, somewhere around there. And so what I'm going to do is after I upload this video, I am going to go play some Dragon's Dogma. But 2025 or 2023, I thought was not a good year for hobby because packing up my house, finding out in May that I had to move cross country, packing up and everything, that was really annoying. Like really stressful, really annoying. Having to just cram everything into a lot of it went with the movers, but still had to cram a bunch of stuff in my car. I didn't think I got that many models painted, and compared to other years, no, I didn't. But I think it's still a decent amount, and so the goal right now is to finish the Cities of Sigmar army set. The wife is working on her Seraphon. It's looking pretty good. Once she finishes up her first model, I think it's going to look really nice. But I'm trying to think what I want to do after the cities, and I don't think I want to build any models. I think I just want to work on the ones I already have built. So probably going to look at Chaos Space Marines because my Chaos Space Marine army is each model is from a different chapter or warband or something. So what I was doing first is I wanted to do one of each of the loyalist chapters that exist, like the first founding chapters, make a corrupted one. So I have an Ultramarine already, and I have a White Scars already that are already painted. And so I wanted to just like pick random models and be like, all right, so you are going to be the corrupted. What do they call that? Iron Hands, and then Blood Angels, and so on and so forth. Those Salamanders, you're going to corrupted Salamander. Imperial Fist, that's what I was thinking in my head. I was like, a new fist, but I couldn't think of the other word. And then after I do the corrupted of the Firstborn, I was going to start going through things like, I already have a Alpha Legion that I painted. He looked really nice. But that was painted at the end of 2022. And just start going through all the different warbands. And then today in the car, my wife said, I think I could paint Nurgle. And I was like, are you talking 40k Nurgle or are you talking Age of Sigmar Nurgle? And she's like, either. And so at first I was like, well, I do have Death Guard, but my Death Guard are not going to be painted green. My Death Guard are going to be painted gray because they're based off the Dusk Raiders, which is like their armor color is based off the pre-Mortarion color scheme. Because I really liked the gray pre-Mortarion color scheme, even though they are modern Death Plague Marines and they're all covered in like tentacles and stuff. I still wanted to paint them gray because I thought that was kind of cool. And I'd already made that Nurgle Land Raider Defiler combo thing that's gray. And I think it turned out really well. And so I was like, well, you could do Maggotkin of Nurgle for the fantasy side, or you can do Chaos Demons and go heavy Nurgle. And that would be really easy to paint with contrast. Whether you go Nurgle or not, I think Chaos Demons is pretty easy to paint, or can be easy to paint with contrast. So yeah, we'll see. She said, so I'm painting the Sisters of Battle army that she has. Probably will be Chaos Space Marines and then Sisters of Battle and then bounce to, I don't know, something else. Or maybe do a squad of Sisters of Battle interspersed with other stuff, but But she's paying her Seraphon, and so I think she wants another army to pay after her Seraphon. Because I was like, we have too many good armies, and I want more bad armies, and so kind of working on those. No plans to ever do orcs though. Just not a huge fan of orcs. They're fine. I'm just not like too super sold on them. But I think that's it. That's it for December. This might be it for 2023. If it is, we'll see you in 2024. But see how long. How long do you think I'm going to last on the no buying any Warhammer models? That also includes no buying Victoria miniatures or no substitute models. I can print. I'm allowed to 3D print. I'm allowed to buy STLs, but not allowed to buy any physical models. Now, people can buy them for me, so if you want to do that, that's cool too. But I think I'm fine for now, although I was really annoyed because the Night Lords, the new Night Lords kill team, I'm like, I really want that Night Lords kill team. So I might ask for that, because that would go lovely in my Chaos Space Marines. Even though it's just Legionnaires with Night Lords heads, I think it would be a cool little squad. Like, hey, look, the Night Lords have come to assist. Don't do anything bad. Don't jaywalk. They will eat your face. Aside from that, I think that's it. So have a good one. And if I don't see you until January or later, have a good New Year. Have a good Christmas, holiday, whatever you celebrate. And stay warm or stay cold, whichever you need to be. Anyways, have a good one, and goodbye.